You know, if you told me 2 years ago that a small little monthly subscription in War Tycoon could cause so many issues for the game and in the community itself, I would probably not believe you. However, funny enough, something like this has just taken place, and today I'd like to probably walk you through the biggest War Tycoon drama of all time, and I'm gonna be completely honest here, it is kinda bad. So in the brand new update, War Tycoon essentially just added a War Pass, which you get special perks for being its monthly subscriber, and it does have quite a lot of perks, which in some way could actually be seen as pay to win. And if we move into the suggestions tab in the official War Tycoon Discord server, it is pretty clear what people want to see right here. For the War Pass to actually be removed, and basically everybody is going crazy over this thing being added and just begging for it to get removed, which to some extent I actually kind of understand. So right here, as you guys can see, is that this thing used to actually go for over 500 Robux, even seen on the screenshot. Luckily enough, they actually have made some changes to it and they have made it a lot cheaper. Right now it's only going for around 150 a month, but either way it is still a monthly War Pass and a completely new subscription which this game just added. And I to a very high degree can actually understand why people are really mad about it right now, and the simple reason being is because the last 3 updates War Tycoon has basically made pay to a very high extent. Firstly, starting with the B1 Regional, which obviously in that previous update we have received this vehicle which costed Robux, and after this they gave us essentially an April Fool's update which gave us the F-35G Lightning, which once again costed Robux, and then after that update we have received the Plane, which is also costing you Robux. It's kind of like a trend that's recently going on in the game. So Robux items essentially being slapped into every single update makes a lot of people extremely angry, and I actually do understand this a lot since it's something that Military Tycoon has been doing for a very long time, and it almost seems to the players like it's starting to happen to their favorite game, which has much better quality, which is the exact reason why they actually play War Tycoon. Now that isn't the only reason why people are actually angry about this addition. There are 2 extra reasons why, and one of them obviously being is the fact that this update was 67% paid and only 33% free, because 2 of the items in the update were actually paid. So we essentially have a ratio that's benefiting the paid players instead of the free-to-play players, which are obviously the majority of the game. And just for some extra context, to quickly go over the War Pass perks, it gives you extra cash bonus, which is not really pay to win. It gives you an instantly re-equipped to your last loadout. So essentially whenever you respawn, I will be able to have my loadout equipped right away. And this is an extremely cool quality of life feature which people have actually been requesting for a very long time, except the problem here is that they gave it to us under payment. That is something that does feel a little bit scummy in a way. However, my main problem right here is that they gave us 5 extra max parts capacity for each parts category. That is where my main problem actually stands, because that to me is the definition of pay to win. You're paying to get an advantage in the game. That advantage is clear because those 5 extra parts could clearly give you a huge advantage in the meta. For example, you are normally not able to spawn 3 Mi-24 Super Hinds. You only were able to spawn 2, and that's why the parts were balanced in this way. However, now that you're able to spawn 3 of them, it almost feels like certain vehicles which have a high part cost are much easier to spawn and obtain. And that in a way basically destroys the game's balance, because cost efficiency becomes a lot less relevant whenever there's more parts to work with. Like for example, the reason why these smaller and much less powerful planes were actually being used in the first place is because they were much cheaper, and the reason why people didn't spawn the F-22 and why the F-22 fell off is because its cost efficiency is not too great. And same could even go for the F-35B. People were not spawning it because it possesses such power, however it costs too many parts to spawn. But now, on average, you're probably going to be able to spawn at least 3 of them in a row. However, if I had to give my own personal opinion on this update and why I dislike this perk being added, it's simply because it destroys the balance which War Tycoon has been working so hard on fixing over the recent months. A perfect example of that is over the recent months, War Tycoon has been making so many balance changes in basically every single update, and the goal of these balance changes was in a way to make the premium items and also the game passes themselves not feel like they're over the top overpowered and not being on top of their categories. However, adding an update that clearly benefits the player by paying money basically destroys the cost efficiency itself, which I already talked about previously. So you essentially work months on trying to fix the balance issue in the game, and then you reintroduce it and update later. So yeah, developers, I know you're definitely watching this video, and by the way, I really appreciate it, but I feel like you need to communicate with the community just a little bit more so they know what's going on and why these changes are being applied. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.